Of the agenda. We have a motion moved by Susan Irwin, seconded by Craig Middleton, that the agenda for the special council meeting held January 19th, 2023 be approved as presented. Are there any amendments?
No, there are not, Madam Mayor.
All those in favor? Carried. Is there any disclosure, pecuniary interest, or general nature thereof on any item on today's agenda by any member of council? Seeing none, we'll note that in the minutes. We're going to not do mayor's remarks this morning. Staff reports. So we're starting with our budget survey results. And have a motion moved by Craig Middleton, seconded by Susan Irwin, that council received for information the budget survey results. Any discussion on that? Michael, you just noted that it was a small number.
That's
The budget survey.
Oh, so the budget survey.
Survey was 52 respondents, I believe, Chris, that was, and some of that is staff and some of that is council. So I would say it's 1% of our current population at most, and 0.5% or less of our total population at present.
Okay. So all those in favor of the motion? Carried. All right, so we are starting into our budget review, and we're starting with Public Works.
first.
Michael?
Do an overview, if I can first, before we jump into.
Yes, good idea. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the budget that you're going through right now, what I sent to the council in the email was just the capital project for this year. It's not comparing to the previous year. What I just handed out to you is paper documents showing the total budget. You've got the capital budget initially, then you've got it with comparing to the previous year. And then we have the operating capital as a summary item, a mid-level item, so you can kind of see it as a department level. And then we have the GL account level detail now, so you can see what goes into the budget. Your two main areas are the operating, which is your salaries, your service supplies, grading, your salt, fuel. Capital are the assets that we use to deliver services to the residents. If we don't have that, we don't have services for the residents. So it's very important to take care of our capital. But I understand it's expensive, especially with COVID and the way prices have gone in the market. But those are our needs that we use to just go ahead and do it.
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay. So the first column is what department heads put in, what we feel needs to be done for the 2023 budget, almost 19 million. We then had our fund discussions and have brought it down to just over 10 million, which is an adjustment of 8.8. So we had our healthy discussions over a few days, and this is where we've ended up to present to council. The net amount that we're suggesting to council in the draft budget is an increase of $727,567 over what we raised in 2022. Where I like to start, and this is the levy, where I like to start is CPI, which is 6.5%, and 1.5% for our asset management plan that they said in 2021 that we should raise to dedicate to capital. So I would always start at that. It's just a suggestion. I'll take this off. So we are raising 7.8% more dollars or 727,000 than in 2022. The operating is up just over 1.1 million or 15%. Draft capital budget is down 392,000 or down 20%. We don't know the county rate yet. My understanding is there's discussions early February and we'll have a better idea then. The education rate is the same. So with that in mind, the overall tax rate increase will be 4.7% or $62 for every 100,000 assessment dollars of a property. And that's what I like to focus on because that is the dollars that is coming out of each taxpayer's pocket. The average property and median property, according to MPAC, is 164,000 or 148. So the average property would see $101 increase, 120, sorry. Yeah, $101 increase. I'll have to look at the other numbers there. 103 in the end. Yes. Okay. So 101 would be related to the tax rate. $2 would be related to the assessment. So they would see $103 increase per year. And what I always like to compare to is a tank of gas that can change by $5 every time you fill up. Well, now it seems to be a piece of broccoli that changes by $5, but total assessment increase was 1.3%. Or if we don't change our tax rate from 2022, it would be $124,000 increase. For every $95,000 that we raise or decrease the budget, it's a 1% levy increase or a $10 impact on residents. Yes.
Sorry. So with the new assessment and the old assessment, what does 1% represent?
Old assessment and new assessment, 1% levy increase.
Yes.
Is going to be $10 more that you're going to pay total.
No, I mean,
Sorry.
like, is 1% 78,000?
95.
So it's 95,000. So
Yes.
let's keep that in our minds, that every 1% gives us $95,000. So by increasing it to 7.5 is definitely a starting point.
Yeah. Everything's up for discussion. Just to give an idea of where our reserves are estimated, because the unfinished projects aren't in there yet either, but they're going to go in again in 2022 and come out in 2023. Obviously, the budget is prepared now. I don't have final numbers until there's another. So when you're looking at the actuals, keep in mind that there's still probably 2 2022 expense batches to go through. So discretionary reserves right now are at 6.2 million. That is money that council sets aside that we deem for asset management, council expenses every 4 years, or whatever we want to set money aside for. It's 60% of our operating expenses, which in that regard makes me think it's healthy, but I know that we're the lowest of all of Frontenac's 4 reserves. But you can see a comparison going back to 2018 that we were at 2.7 at one point. So we've gone up at least. The obligatory reserves are used only for the purposes by legislation. So parkland funds, cemeteries, and that's at 355,000. Our debt. Total loans are at 2.9 million almost, with annual debt repayments of 820,000, and we're at 49% of our borrowing capacity. We do not have an official debt policy. Different things that I've gone to, it seems like comfort levels are anywhere from 25 to 50%. Mine is closer to 25, so it's high for me. You can see our comparisons as well, that we've gone down a little bit in debt from 2021, but we're still up there. And you can see the different loans. Medical center ends in April of 2029. The fire and public works equipment loans end this year. And then Crow Lake is 2025. And then the loan that we took out in 2021 ends in 2031. Capital assets, again, that I mentioned earlier, are our bread and butter. We use them to provide services. We're underfunded to the tune of almost $2 million per year in the asset management plan of 2021. And that's where they recommend increasing the levy. They had 5, 10, and 20-year increments. The 10 years said 1.5%. Every year, and that doesn't address our capital deficit backlog. And what I mean by that is there's $100 million of assets, $67 million of our assets are used up in depreciation. That road might still be there, it might be bumpier, the piece of equipment might still be there, but it might only run half the time. And the annual amortization, which is kind of a benchmark for me, is that if we're not spending at least 2.3 million on our assets, then we're going backwards. The increases, I believe this is the last slide, the Canada Community Building Fund, as it's known now, or we previously called the gas tax, is up $6,000. So we get $275,000 for that each year. You can, and they changed the name partly because it's not just used for roads. It can be used for other projects, but we have so many road projects that we've generally always put it to that. The Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund increased by 43,000 to 2.2 million. So without that help from government levels, it wouldn't be good. The Ontario Community Infrastructure Funding, and this is the formula funding, just to clarify, they used to have an application-based portion, but they don't now. That increased by 106,000, sorry, to 811. Our fuel is 134,000 over the 2022 budget, but it's only 3,000 more than what the actual 2022 actuals were. We just didn't put enough in the budget. Heat and hydro is only 8,000 over budget, but it's 3,000 more than actuals. Insurance is over 25,000 over last year's budget. Vehicle repairs are 15,000 over. Sand and salt is 136,000 over last year. Contracts are 25,000, and the Conservation Authority floodplain mapping that council already approved is 86,000. That's part of the increase. We do this, another municipality on the MFOA small group discussion mentioned that this is the year of plans for them, and kind of same thing here. We have a recreational needs study for 30,000, a roads needs study for 50 that did get not approved in last year's budget. I think is important here. Strategic plan for council is 30,000. Development charge with the county is in there at 35, but 32 was raised in 2022.
You can pretty much take that out because development charges are going to be squashed in the Bill 23
And
or a large percentage of them. So why spend the money if we have to give it back to the province?
And Madam Mayor, I think you're absolutely correct. I was initially hesitant at one point to even go towards development charges, but I do think it would be a good revenue source. With the changes coming in, is it going to be more of an administrative nightmare than it's worth? That's what it's certainly what it feels like. But we do have Gary Scanlon from, I want to say Watson Associates, forgive me if I'm wrong, is going to come to a managers meeting and just go through in a general feel of if it's still worthwhile or not.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and I think it will also depend on the other municipalities coming in with us.
well, we're going to piggyback, or the idea is to piggyback on the county's development charge study, which would maybe save us less than this. But if we were to go out on our own, I believe that this would be about what it would cost.
Okay, so we'll keep
So-
it there for now.
It's open, anything's open for discussion, right? So. So county communal permitting system that I understand Joe Galvin came to council and presented, that's in there as well. And salary benefits, the salary and benefits, sorry, so $455,000 increase, which is CPP, EI, OMERS, all of those dental benefits, COLA. There's also a new junior planner position in there and a new Part 8 septic inspection or septic position in there, which I don't believe is really I believe it's more of a requirement depending on how we go in the future. And that's it for my presentation. Any questions before we move on?
We get a paper copy of that presentation.
Yes.
Nikki, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Is it possible also, Michael, to get a breakdown of what specifically is in the reserves, like how much is in those reserves for a fire hall, what the recreation breakdown is, so that we specifically know what we're putting money away for, what we have money being put away for?
Yes, is the quick answer. I could give you my confusion spreadsheet, or I could say, here's how much for corporate services, fire, and that would be easier to say what's for each department than it would be for what's for the halls and whatnot, because as Judy Gray had, it was just like by one line, and I'm like, well, no, if you don't dedicate it to something, it's going to get spent on something else, but then it's gone too excessive. So I can do it either way. Let me try and come up with a nice summary sheet for you, everybody. You're welcome.
Summer sheet would be better.
Any other questions? You'll have lots more as we keep going, but. Okay. All right, what's next?
I think we're going Public Works.
Yes.
Yeah, Public Works is on first.
Madam Mayor, I'd just like to ask if I can present a slideshow.
Yes, go ahead.
Just get it set up here. Everybody see okay?
Yes.
Little delay. So I prepared a slideshow. Some of the information in this slideshow, a couple things I'll mention. I brought some of it in from last year since we've got a new council. I wanted to bring everybody up to speed on some of our plans. For those of you that didn't watch the budget meeting last year, this will be new info. I also wanted to point out that since this is going to be public, is that some of the numbers in this presentation have changed since our last managers meeting where stuff was removed. I updated some of the slides, but some of them are still the numbers are still from before the last we removed some items. So I'll get started. This year's budget is, I gotta get this out of my way here. So this year's budget is focused on harnessing the ideas and visions of the new council members while getting the new councilors comfortable with the public works management team's existing strategies, such as pavement preservation, improved maintenance operations, and sustainable innovative infrastructure. The Public Works Department has managed to continue to provide essential service to the municipality for the past 2 years, while cautiously staying under budget to remain comfortable as the economy still recovers after the impact of the global pandemic. At the bottom, you'll see how our budget is, some of the tools we've used to create our budget. And this is how our capital budget is broken down. It's probably small on there. That's a list of all the projects. It just shows each one that's large equipment purchases and discussion, every item that's been discussed, requested from council staff and committees. So many of these projects have already actually been placed into future years.
So, excuse me, council would like to have a copy of all of the roads that were basically cut, just so that they could have a good look at the amount of work that needs to be done on all these roads.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some of it's shown here in this slideshow. You can see that I've bumped some of them up on the top left of the screen. You can see image from my budget before the first department head meeting, and then an image from after. So at that budget meeting, I think we reduced a couple million in capital projects. So I'll take you through them, and I'll provide that for sure. So, 1.17 million in road projects alone. So I just wanted to bring council up to speed on our contract administration strategy. So since the 2022 budget discussions, we hired a in-house technician, Noah, who's helped out with saving money on contract administration. And the savings of that, we estimate to be close to $100,000, which we would have definitely paid that for contract administration and more. You can see, I'll list off some of the roads that were removed already after the first managers meeting. Road 509 North, resurfacing that was removed. Some of these numbers I've added 10% for contingencies, so that will be about just under a $900,000 project. Matthew Street pedestrian crosswalk, obviously we're going to have to come back to council and re-look at that. But it was in there for 25,000, and I'll be seeking direction from council on that, but I've shifted it in hopes that we can take a closer look at that. Arden Road resurface has been shifted to 2024. Brewer Road has been shifted to 2024. Wagner Road has been shifted as well. I actually think Dixon Crescent, although it shows up there. Yes, Dixon Crescent was Thompson and Brewer were all shifted into 2024. So the major road projects that we left in are pavement preservation, which I'll get into in a minute here, and our Westport Road, and then road needs study. So Here's a slide of the 1 to 5 year reconstruction plan. This is from our 2019 road needs study. As Michael mentioned, we've got a road needs study in the budget, and we feel that's essential for supporting our decisions moving forward in the next few years. You will notice that we've since 2019, we've done work to Crow Lake Road and some work to Arden Road, but you can see that it's very obvious Henderson Road and Westport Road are still, they were identified as ones that need to be done in 2019. Next slide, you'll see the 5 to 10 year reconstruction plan provided by that consultant. And we have knocked off Zealand. We haven't been able to do anything on 509. And we have done Oak Flats, and we have done Ardock and Elizabeth Street. Westport Road, I'll try to do a brief overview of Westport Road. That was in the budget last year. We had been advised to really take a close look at this road for asphalt rather than just tar and chip. The volumes of traffic on there, just in the central Frontenac portion of Westport Road alone, there are 4 active sand and aggregate pits. The next 15 kilometers as you shift into South Frontenac hosts at least 6 more major active sand and aggregate pits. One of them being Lafarge Canada, and a large construction company with an active aggregate yard, a landscaping products yard, and an active South Frontenac Municipal Public Works garage. So what I'm trying to say in this slide, sorry for jumping back and forth and the delay here. We got some data from a daily traffic study, and with the approximate 1,100 vehicles per day, that was back in 2019. If even 10% of these vehicles were from those pits, that means that in the 6-month construction season, approximately 20,000 trucks carried approximately 400,000 tons of sand and gravel across our portion of the road. And that's only a fraction of what those pits are licensed to export each year. And so I just wanted to show council just the volume and the heavy truck volume on that section of road. Now, however, being not having access to grants or anything last year, and doesn't look like the government's going to be pushing out too much for infrastructure for us this year. That's kind of about what's expected. We have shifted the project to a double surface treatment project rather than paving, and you can see the high level numbers. It looks like my little screen's in the way there, but what you can't see for the paving Westport Road, about 2.5 million, and double surface treatment we can get done for just over 7. That number there is raw from my estimator program. I've added 10% to that for contingency. So now if we go ahead with the double surface treatment, we have to enter into a program of pavement preservation. So there's a slide on Matthews Street. I think we need a whole separate council report for that. So I'm not going to dwell on that too much. I just wanted to show council that the decision should be made. I think it should be revisited again with this new council to see what we're doing, just so Public Works has data to move forward. I think now if we do any kind of a crosswalk or pedestrian safe way, it's going to be out of our own pocket. So here's a little bit on pavement preservation breakdown. So of the $800,000 item, that's inflated by 10% as well. 655,000 of that is for the microsurface program on Road 38. Sorry for jumping around here. I thought I had one slide just for that. I might later, but
Do
I
you
don't
find that program is really doing well as far as saving the surface?
Yeah, so we estimate, just really rough numbers, we estimate Road 38 to be somewhere just under $40 million if we were to have to reconstruct. We seem to have caught our portion of asphalt in time to be able to preserve it with microsurface. And one of the only worries when we first did the trial shortly after South Frontenac microsurface their portion was making sure we caught it in time, because if not, sometimes the plows can scrape that brand new product off, and it was at that time it was $50,000 a kilometer. Now it's more than that, but it's held up really well. And we've got a lot of great public feedback on it. We've got other municipalities come out to see how it's working, and everybody's had good reviews on it. And it seems to, the timing of when we do the crack sealing first, it seems to really seal the surface. And our goal is to be able to hold on to that road for another 5 to 6 years without having to do any more reconstruction on it. So in the last couple of years, as we were still cautiously our township trying this product for the first time, we broke it down into 2 or 3 or 4 kilometer sections. With the success of it, and to try to save on mobilization costs each year, we're asking council to let us do 9.1 kilometers. There's 36 kilometers total. So this next section will take us from about Evergreen Road in Godfrey to Parham, 9.1 kilometers. So inside of the pavement preservation program, there's also a small amount of single surface treatment. We've identified roads, which I'll have to flip screens to tell you which ones. But our area foremen have identified roads, and the supervisor has identified roads that are good enough to put a single surface treatment on to preserve those roads. We have removed any trials for any kind of asphalt rejuvenator because of a tough budget year. Now, and then you'll see also $81,000 in there. And I think that's a very conservative estimate. We're waiting for a proper quote on that, but that is actually, the crack sealing is actually goes hand in hand with the micro surfacing. You have to crack seal 38 nicely before we apply the micro surface. So I'm actually hoping that number can come down a little bit. Here's a little bit about micro surface. It's been Miller Paving that's been getting our contracts. It's, as I said, we're entering the 3rd year of a 5 to 7 year program to preserve its deteriorating condition. I don't think I'll make this available. So rather than go through every point on here, but brief overview, microsurface is a mixture of a polymer coated emulsified asphalt, mineral aggregate, mineral filler, water and additives that are proportioned, mixed and spread with a machine over a properly prepared surface. So do you want me to field questions about roads before I go into bridges?
Sure.
Anybody got any questions
Nikki?
about road work?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When you quoted Westport Road, does that include that you're going to be doing the infrastructure? You're going to fix the culverts and fix everything, not just put a double surface treatment on top?
That's right. There's through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Gowdy, there is nice thing about Westport Road. We've got a really nice platform to work with. The structure of it is sound. It needs to be reshaped down. We don't need to do a full base replacement. That's I believe we estimated 4 to 6 inches of gravel over the whole under the surface just to reshape. And obviously we've budgeted extra in case we get into, if our inspector says that we get into anything that's not a suitable base, we'll be testing, and we've got a little budget in there for if we need to put any granite B or any filter cloth or anything like that to try to stiffen up that base. But that's ditching in where as needed. It's cross culvert replacement, and there's a couple entrance culverts as well. Yeah.
Lynn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When you talked about initially when we went on our bus tour, you talked about it preferring to pave the Westport Road, but because of the cost, now we're going to do the double surface treatment. What's the difference in time frame of how long will the double surface treatment last compared to a paving? Like, are we going to cut down the lifespan a lot, or in the long run, is it going to end up costing us more?
In the long run, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cleggs, in the long run, it is going to end up costing us more. With a proper preservation program to follow up on a double surface treatment, the difference isn't as dramatic, but that's a road with that heavy truck traffic. Double surface treatment has no, it relies on the base and sub base of the road. to hold up a nice surface. It's got no structural, flexible asphalt has a little more structural component, but it's the double surface treatment, not preserved. We're not going to get more than 5 years out of it. Staying on top of it with a single surface treatment or even more expensive preservation program, like you could actually micro surface on top of a double surface treatment. It's been trialed in other townships. It's like, for example, Rideau Lakes has had really good success with that. But yeah, long-term asphalt would be the ultimate cost saver.
Cindy?
Through you, Madam Mayor. I'm just wondering, is South Frontenac doing their end of that road this year? Do you know? They already have?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Kelsey, they did do the section from Burridge to the north end of Wolf Lake to
Right.
Salem.
Okay, I was just hoping maybe there'd be some cost savings if we teamed up, but I guess that's not going to happen.
No.
Susan?
Just following up on what Councilor Titus was asking, and you may have said it and I missed it, but
Bring your
If-
mic closer.
sorry. If you were to pave the Westport Road, how long would it last?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Irwin. With asphalt, we would hope on totally not preserved, we would hope to get a good 15-20 years out of it. You could extend that by micro surfacing or like shave and pave type preservation as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Dan?
Thanks, ma'am. Right. Is the prices definite, Tyson, or they have to be tended out yet, or are we confirmed on those prices now?
Those through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Meeks, the prices I presented are in-house estimating. It is our best estimate of aggregate prices plus asphalt cement prices and fuel indexing and everything for 2023, but all those projects have to be tendered to get accurate prices.
So all of the numbers that we're seeing are estimates
That's right.
in-house.
Those are 100% produced by our field staff, taking measurements, getting them back to Noah and I to finalize the estimate in our estimating software.
So they could also come in higher.
They could come in higher. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. It's been a pretty unpredictable couple of years with contractor pricing. That's for sure.
Yes.
And with the micro resurfacing that you're doing on 38, if you did that to the Westport Road, does that almost make it look like pavement to me? Like, would that not along the pavement?
That's through Madam Mayor to Councillor Meeks. That's a strategy that other townships are trying. It's to keep in mind the micro after the double surface treatment, the micro would have to be applied within the first, depending on how it holds up to all that truck traffic and that contractors actually staying off of it during half load season and stuff like that. You'd have to apply that micro surface within the first 3 to 5 years, I'd say, depending on the performance. But just keep in mind that it is still $60,000 to $70,000 or $70,000 per kilometer. But other townships are having a lot of success with it. I can't think of the exact road name in Rideau Lakes, but I'll produce that and councillors feel free to check that out. But it does make it look like asphalt as long as you've got a nice base and a nice shape on your road.
And how many kilometers is the road?
I just have to flip back. I believe it's 6 or 7, 4. I'd have to flip back to see. 4 kilometers.
Okay.
There's 2 sections that it's broke up into in our asset manager. One takes you to Hincham Brook Road about halfway, and the next takes you to the South Frontenac boundary.
With the double surface treatment, you could almost do it 3 times compared to 1 time with the pavement, though, right?
That's correct.
So in hindsight, the total amount would be as long or longer than pavement.
It does come down to product. It comes down to how well our base holds up. But it's something else I can produce to council is our calculation on the whole life cycle cost. So
Thank you.
but Counselor Meeks, that's why we've landed on this decision to stick with double surface treatment. It seems like a more reasonable, perfect world with paving would be the ideal option, but it seems like a more reasonable method than waiting, because we know we can't spend $2.5 million on it right now. So we've got to do something. It's just costing us so much and it's becoming a liability. So
No, I'm confused, which often happens.
that's okay.
I do recall, or I think I recall you saying that long-term, double surface treatment is going to cost us more than if we used asphalt. And then your answer to Councillor Meeks. So could you clarify?
Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm the one that's confused. No, our numbers show that asphalt will be a better cost saving over long term.
Okay.
And even proper asphalt job also still requires preservation, but long term, numbers show that the asphalt is the longer term cost savings.
So then please clarify for me. I'm a bit thick on this, why you're recommending the double surface treatment. I know we don't have the money, but in terms of cost savings, is it really there?
I think I see this as the only option. I presented to council last year. I was very strong on presenting to council that it should be paved, and it was turned down and pushed to this year for a decision. And if it gets pushed again, it's just like we're spending thousands and thousands on patching. Something's got to be done. So we've got to do a project.
We've got to do something.
Yeah.
And we've got to do it with the money we've got, and we don't have money for pavement, right?
That's right. Now,
Understood.
something else that's important information is Public Works is always searching for grants. Rather than us totally doing all the engineering in-house on this one, we just spent a little bit for a consultant to do a centerline survey of that road for our stationing and pick up the culverts, and a light topographical survey. That puts us in a position to say we were successful on a grant or something like that. That puts us in a position to switch that project, stop and make an addendum. And depending on the time frame, still possibly pave, say we were to run into a big grant. That project could easily be quickly re-engineered to pave.
Let's hope there's lots of them coming our way.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Tyson at this point? Philip?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tyson, in the pavement preservation, you mentioned doing the sealant on 38, but is there any other paved roads? I'm thinking Wagerville Road and Fifth Lake Road. They've been paved for a number of years. Should we be looking at those as well for sealant?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Smith. Wagerville Road was estimated this year for crack sealing. That was part of the 81,000. So we are going to crack. We are hoping to prices allow us to crack seal Wagerville, as there are some longitudinal cracks coming through Wagerville Road. Crow Lake Road is our other asphalt that's holding up fine for now. And we also have done a trial for an asphalt rejuvenator on Crow Lake Road already. So we're still in the trial waiting period to see how that performs. But 38 is although I'd love to preserve all of our asphalt this year, 38 is the one that we got to try to get through this 3 to 7 year plan. And we're hoping not to have to do the other ones until we get this 38 completed or approach the end of the 5 to 7. So we can try to pair that into a project with something like Wagerville or Crow Lake Road. So
It's a simple matter, folks, that we just don't have enough money to do what needs to be done. And we have too much debt to go ahead and do it on borrowed money at this time. So this is what makes this particular budget the very hardest. And we're at a time when our people out there paying the taxes are not having an easy time. So it's a whammy 3 times over. Do you want to stop and take a break right now and then we'll come back?
doesn't matter to me. I'm good.
Pardon?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Council
Yes.
said yes.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, Tyson, let's finish off with roads.
Now in bridges?
So before we Madam Mayor,
Oh,
before we head
bridges.
into bridges, is
Sorry,
there any
yeah.
other questions on roads?
Okay. Lynn,
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, I didn't hear specifically before we went into break. You mentioned the plan for when you propose the Henderson Road North to be looked at. And it's been on the list for a long time and on the 1 to 5 year list.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cleggs, the Henderson, I'm sorry if I accidentally skipped over it when I was listing off the roads from that got shifted from 2023. I have made that shift after our preliminary meeting with department heads. I made that shift from 2023 to 2024. I've got around $800,000 project for double surface treatment, ditching, centerline culverts and entrance culverts that we'll call a resurface, with also some granular estimated to reshape that section of road as well. So that's shown in the 2024 budget as of right now.
Cindy, go ahead.
If I may, through you, Madam Mayor. Now, the Henderson Road has been shifted 8 years now. Can you guarantee it's not going to be shifted again?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Kelsey, Henderson Road actually over the last couple of years, we've spent close to, I believe, $600,000 in double surface treatment and also some single surface treatment for pavement preservation. But it's really council's decision how much further it gets shifted down the road. I've presented it a couple of years in a row, and it is identified, if you look at this slide, in the 1 to 5 year construction plan from our road needs study.
And I think there are a few roads that have been on there probably 6, 7 years or more.
Agreed.
It's again, it's money, and it's the taxpayer paying for this. So we'll do the best we can. Okay, bridges. This is a good story too.
2023 bridges. I'll start off with bridge maintenance needs. So our 2021 OSIM inspection identified just some, as you can see over here, some maintenance needs that they pull out these smaller items and they kind of help us get a forecast of what needs to be done, just for the little stuff. So a lot of this stuff NOAA is looking at right now at what we can do in-house, route and seal, some handrail maintenance, pest control. Some of the pest control has taken care of itself already. This is minor stuff that whatever we can't do in-house will be a small budget item in our operating budget, I believe, Michael, for bridge maintenance. So that's just your regular maintenance and cleaning out bearings and stuff like that. OSIM inspection provides us with a high-level 10-year capital bridge and culvert program. As you can see, what we've done here, if you look on the left, is we've taken the years that were considered, and they've projected about 2.7 million or 2.8 million at that time over those years. And so what we discussed last year with council was to divide that down by the years and put that into reserves. As you can see, there's 2022 was a lighter year for bridges, and 2023 as well. It's fairly light. Those two projects from the 2021 OSIMs were actually deemed by staff as not priorities when you look at all the other needs that we've got. So those have been shifted. It was some steel beam guide rail for some box culverts. Excuse me. So the big one that we're going to discuss today is putting some money aside for the Henderson Road Bridge into reserves. So I'll flip to the next slide where we talk about the capital bridge work. There's a couple that we're looking at right now. Our 2021 OSIMs recommended that we put a small capital amount to rehabilitate Oak Lane Lane Bridge. We worked together with the Frontenac County, and Frontenac County did a study on all their bridges as well along the trail. And another engineer looked closer, even closer at O'Clain Lane Bridge, and you can see the summary at the bottom is a lot scarier than what our OSIMs let us know about. They said it's in perilous condition in the north abutment, so that's obviously been shifted up. And it's a project that Michael and I are working right now with Frontenac County that they're gonna try to help us fund with some of their grant money. And we've tried to bump it to 2023. So we don't have a good, this is all happening pretty quickly, just in the last couple months here. So we don't have an exact number, but we expect that to be like a $400,000 to $500,000 full replacement. He's recommending to do a 3-sided flat top type structure. So I'll talk about, I don't know if I've got a slide for Henderson. No. So the Henderson bridge over Kennebec Lake, bridge is in pretty decent shape, but it's scheduled for expensive rehab in 2024. So what we've put in the budget for this year is enough money to get a proper full-on inspection, get a scope of work from an engineer, and try to have that project tender ready. So it's just engineering costs and planning costs that you'll see in 2023, I believe $15,000. This will be kind of provided in my to council, so I won't take you through all the list of structures or the remaining useful life. We've also got culvert remaining useful life. That's a high level, without diving too deep into the OSIMs, that's a high level review of bridges. Does anybody have a question about that?
Nikki, go ahead.
Sorry, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to make sure that I'm quoting properly. Yesterday in my county council meeting, so please correct me if I'm wrong, we approved money transfers from the grant money to do help with the O'Clain Bridge and the 38 highway part. But I was under the impression the county has to spend that money this year or they might lose it.
Yeah.
So did I read?
Yeah.
Correct. So shifting it further wouldn't be helpful to the county and we'd lose that money.
That for 2020 spending in 2023, you mean? Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so Michael may be able to explain that a little better, but basically the county has grant money and there's 2 projects they would like to help Central Frontenac with is O'Clain Lane, since the majority is trail users that use that bridge. It only services for us a couple residents. So they want to help us with that. And then we're also looking at a project to try to keep the trail from crossing 38 twice at Hampton's Landing, and to try to, we've got a high level engineering study done and some concept drawings of what that trail would look like to stay on the south side of 38 and kind of gradually go down towards the pond and then back up. So that's, you're 100% right, Nikki.
And that is the Ontario Community Infrastructure Funding Formula that you can save in your bank account for 5 years. So yes, they're at the end of that 5 years with that certain allocation.
Okay. Any other
Thank you, Michael.
question? Go ahead, Dan.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Do we have copies of all this, Tyson, when the certain roads are scheduled to be within so many years, like
Yeah,
in this or?
it's in this package,
It's in this?
right?
Or
is it?
The road need study?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
just future roads to be done, like for instance, Long Lake Road or Brock Road or like,
The road needs, the 2019 road needs study has been available to the public since it was completed. I'll have to check with
When you,
in the council
when
portal.
you send that link, it will be available there.
Yeah,
So you'll get the link there.
but it should be available I think it should be available to the public online, correct, Cindy? Yeah.
It's on the website.
Yeah.
They did just say it was in the county council portal as well.
It is. I've seen it in both spots.
You can get it from there too.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions on bridges? Before we shift into waste and recycling?
When we look at our asset management, what's the total value of our bridges?
I can get that for you momentarily.
Okay,
while Michael's looking for that, I'll start into my section here. So other than the implementation of hazardous waste depot, phase 2, capital projects at our landfills and transfer stations this year will be minimal as the new waste and recycling committee members settle into their new roles. So I'm excited for this year with a new committee and a lot of interest in that committee to look at the following. So accessibility improvements to the transfer stations. There's been a lot of discussion in the last year with the previous committee about trying to eliminate stairs up to the recycling bins and try to have them a level surface that you build a road up behind the bins and you just be able to walk out on a catwalk at waist height, railing height to be able to throw your recycling. So that's something the committee's gonna be looking at. Just more research, education and training. I've got a guest speaker coming into the next waste and recycling meeting to give our new committee a bit of a overview on the Blue Box transition program, which we need a whole nother meeting for me to talk about that. Long-term planning for when the active landfills reach capacity. These are all very minimal budget items, just giving you an overview of what the committee's gonna be working on. Research and planning to manage commercial waste and any possible diversion opportunities that don't reduce the level of service to the community. So I'll jump into our hazardous waste depot phase 2, and Michael, feel free to grab me anytime.
Just got it. So the historical cost of our bridges is $8 million. So that's obviously what we paid for them when we constructed them. Replacement cost is 26 million. Let that sink in.
Thanks, Michael.
And just sorry to add quickly, the replacement costs in citywide may not even be up to date with the way the prices are going and whatnot, so it could be even higher.
Yeah. So this is an in-house estimate for the phase 2 of the household hazardous waste program. I won't take you through every item, but basically we've procured a couple sea containers that are fit the regulation to be able to store hazardous waste. The committee has planned on putting a bit of a lean-to on one, so we can have an area to also inside of our hazardous waste little compound safely store propane and batteries and stuff like that in a fenced-in area. And then at the bottom, you'll see the operating costs, which the $20,000 that I've got in there for the first year of collection, that's an estimate. It's really hard for me to estimate how much volumes are going to come in when we do open to the public, but still the goal is to start collecting hazardous waste in 2023 while still leaving our agreement with South Frontenac in place as well. Any questions on waste and recycling? Right.
We're contemplating all of it.
Yeah. So outdoor facilities, with the help of provincial and federal funding, the Public Works Department alongside with the rec committees and development services as well, we were able to construct 2 outdoor rink sport courts in 2022. So with the new council coming to the table, the Public Works Department is looking to collaborate to get a more long-term plan established for all outdoor facilities. Public Works is proposing to hire a specialist to provide our township with a recreational needs study to look at our rec needs on a broader spectrum. Projects for consideration are as follows. So you can see the projects there. And there's been more, I believe there's more since that slide. So I have to verify the accuracy of this still, but there's a quick breakdown of what the facility service budget looks like. And I've separated it into kind of indoor, the stuff that development services is administering, and outdoor, which was in Public Works. So Kennebec, there's been a request from committee to roll the outfield of the Kennebec ball field. There's been a public request for $10,000 for a street light at the beach, and that is actually the Eagle Lake Beach. I forgot to add that note to that. Steel garbage boxes was removed from after the department head meetings. And then there is $8,000 to finish off that landscaping project in Mountain Grove at the Ball Diamond. It mostly just covers topsoil and seed for the side hill. That we made in 2022, we made that park more visible by taking out trees and doing some landscaping and a parking lot upgrade. And this is a placeholder, and I'm not sure what value ended up in our 2023 budget for the Dixon Crescent facility with the rink, because even though whatever numbers are shown, it really comes down to the committee's budget, along with what's been fundraised, and the committee's still working on a plan for the next phase of that project. So
93.4.
you can probably, Michael can probably speak better to that if council's interested, but that's
Sorry, I think we should go over the list that we've got here. And then we'll be ready to do some fire after that.
Just
like, you wanna?
There's a
Spell
list.
questions.
Where is it, Kathy?
It's the one that, we have the approved projects where we had, that might be good to go through that line by line with council, especially with new council.
Okay.
They have a copy of it, so that way they know exactly what, these are the capital projects that you, got down. It'll be on page. It doesn't have page numbers.
Okay.
Okay, this is your capital where it's got at the top. You'll have by code, it says approved projects only. Line item detail that Michael provided to you, which is this. No, it's the big one.
Should be
Mhm.
the one that was on top.
Yeah,
The one that I handed you separately, Cindy, but the
Like
rest should
this.
be on top.
the top left will say facilities, services, expenses, 20, and then 2023.
Yeah, it starts out with corporate services, then it goes to technology. And then you've got emergency management, fire, and then you go on down and it's got facilities, and then it has public works.
I think it's about the third page in.
I just think that this way they know exactly what
Yeah.
projects are on here,
I agree, Kathy.
okay?
No, and
No.
that's what I mentioned at the start. This is my budget presentation slideshow. What Michael's given you is what made it through the last meeting from department heads. So when it comes to values, definitely take Kathy's recommendation to look at that.
Okay, so everybody got that?
At the pages, these? Yes, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Mhm.
Okay, so these are all of them with prices totaling $3,789,000.
Mhm.
And the revenue
That's-
is
I think most of them are for Andy.
from that, which is leaving a net of 487,981. Typically, you don't see in a municipal budget net amounts. The revenue is shown as revenue, and then the expenditures are shown as expenditures. And you might see a note that says from reserves.
So I'll use this opportunity, Madam Mayor, to say that in a normal budget year, we try and balance what money goes into reserves or what we're pulling from reserves. So obviously we take previous year's projects, we pull that out of reserves. In the new budget year, we try and put projects in and we try and transfer to reserves. I've always liked the way Kelly does it in North Frontenac, where they put a certain amount into reserves, and that's kind of your budget allocation for the year, and maybe you increment it by whatever percentage each year. So different from last year, we're going to transfer money into reserves, and every capital project should be pulling out of reserves. So that report should have a zero balance at the end. I found one thing this morning on one project that wasn't coming from reserves, so I've offset it and made it work the way I wanted to. In facilities, there's $23,000 difference. So ultimately, all capital projects are going to come from reserves. It's a matter of how much do we put into reserves to offset that, and then what are we doing from reserves? And this year we're pulling 2.2 million from reserves.
And
which
what
is-
are we putting in?
Well, exact figures are we're pulling 5.1 and we're putting in 2.9. So we're really not doing anything towards future asset management plan requirements.
Which
And-
brings to me, the normal question I ask every year is, do you think we'll have a deficit or a surplus?
And I don't think we'll have anything to count on. Last year, we did pull 1.7 from reserves because we over budgeted on certain positions that weren't filled or saved money on fuel and contracts. We brought that money in 2022 to help keep the taxes low as well and not raise the money again. This year, again, we have 2 batches. I'm told it's a big batch. I wasn't given a dollar amount. But yeah, we're close right now, and there's some grant journal, year-end journal entries that I have to do as well. I wouldn't count on it. Right now, we're pulling 2.2. I'm hoping that maybe we have a few $100,000 to offset that pull. So again, each year we should be focusing on the budget, and whatever that surplus deficit is goes in and out of reserves depending on which way it falls. So then our focus can be on the budget year.
But we're going to be depleting our reserves pretty quickly.
We are depleting our reserves more this year, yes, and that saves us though taking out a loan at higher interest rates. Maybe if we have to take out a loan next year, it'll be at lower interest rates. That's my only saving grace, is that in a sense we're borrowing from ourselves. And that's another reason to have asset management, or not asset management, sorry, have reserves higher. If we were doing prudent investor and we're investing things strategically versus our need in 2, 5, or 20 years, I'd say yes, our reserves should be a lot higher, but right now we're not there, and it would probably take us a year or more to get that set up if that's council's wish to even move that direction.
So if we didn't pull anything from reserves, we would probably be up at,
6 million.
no, I mean, dollars, percentage.
Oh, here, if we didn't pull it from reserves, yeah, we're 30% more levy, if not more. It's sickening.
Yes.
Wouldn't get anything done.
Okay, let's move on with the smile. It's getting harder every day.
So Madam Mayor, I can feel you starting to push us along here. So I'll just, if there's any questions about what you see on the facility services page, just keep in mind a lot of anything that's related to like a building or any inside work or anything like that, we'll have to wait until the development services presentation.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Cindy.
If I can, through you, Madam Mayor. Tyson, I know I mentioned to you about all the lights being gone in the ballpark in Arden, all of the street lights. Is that part of this, or is that a different thing that should be put down?
No, I'll take a look in the operating budget, but I'm pretty positive NOAA increased the operating budget to cover the cost of that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Philip?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just Tyson, the Eagle Lake streetlight, I was at the rec committee last night, and they're under the impression there will be 2, one at the beach area and one at the parking spot. I think that was what their intended request was.
Okay, I'll have to get the minutes from that meeting, and so we can take that into consideration.
And then, sorry, there's 15,000 in the budget for the washroom building at the beach. Is that intended to be, you know, your nice little picture we have here on the screen, or?
No, I wish that would cover that cost of that, but that's also engineering costs, and there's actually 2. I'm just trying to find them. Drill well at a beach for 15,000. That's something that regardless of continuing on with the washrooms or starting to work on a new washroom building, that needs to be done either way. I'm just trying to find the.
And there may be some fundraising done to offset that.
Just one more follow-up
Yes.
then.
Yeah,
I know there was quite a list that the rec committee sent in. Is it because it's not on the list, is it because it's maintenance and it will talk about it at another budget meeting?
oh, for the smaller items,
Yeah.
for like the fairgrounds and stuff like that. Yeah, it's that's in the operating, that would be in the operating budget.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else? Craig?
Just so I'm straight there, we must have switched over to facility services there for a bit, did we?
Yes.
Okay, I thought we were talking about roads.
No, yes, that was.
We went to facilities?
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? Okay. Where to next?
Next on my presentation is some shop upgrades. That's a project that's been delayed a little bit by the high contractor pricing and COVID, but is underway right now. We've got work happening right now on the bathroom on Hinchinbrook, and he'll be going to Mountain Grove after that. Our money that has been carried over from year to year for the shop addition is still under review, whether it's going to be enough, but we didn't want to increase this budget anymore for this. So at this point, we're going to try to see what we can do with that 65 for each shop. That's
Yeah.
and the tender process failed. So we procured a local contractor, and the relationship there is good, where we can work together a little bit, and there's a little bit of in-house items we can knock off to try to lower those costs such as excavation for the slab and stuff like that. So that's good news, and that's why you'll see those items shifted from 2022 to 2023. The
Won't go
fuel
to
costs of
operating.
operating budget time.
No. That's the next meeting.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
unless there's questions on this
Capital.
part. Nikki,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tyson, you got $389,870 for the wheel mounted excavator, and we spent $102,000 last year. So the 102 is the lease payments that we paid on it, and this year we're purchasing that wheel excavator.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Gowdy. Yes, I guess maybe after break, I missed the equipment section. There is some equipment that should be discussed. Michael and I are working right now with trying to see if we can, with it being such a tough budget year, seeing if we can have the option to actually lease that. We're pretty sure we can actually lease it for another year. I think Michael's left the high value in there right now, just in case we can't. But department heads discussed that it may be a better option to lease for another year, rather than putting all that cost into this budget season. Now, that is different from what council discussed initially. We wanted to do the lease period to make sure we like the excavator. We had some savings, which was because the excavator took so long to get delivered. We didn't have many lease payments in 2022. So of the 100 grand that was budgeted last year, quite a bit of that should have got moved over to cover the cost for next year. So Michael and I are still working with Doosan to see what the best option is there. Yep.
okay, sorry, Lynn.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, I just wanted to backtrack a little, back to facility services. I was thinking, you talked about the washrooms in Charlotte Lake. I was wondering if there's any plan for an improvement to the outhouses at the beach area on Big Clear Lake, by the beach there. They're in bad shape, and as is the beach itself. Is that going to be looked at all?
Currently, that's not in the 2023 budget.
If there was a supply of material, could there be volunteers to do it? I think this is the year we have to look at this kind of thing. And that is to get the volunteers in where we can have them do things for us.
So if we were to get some volunteers to do the work, we could come to council with a proposal.
You could come to council with an estimate of what the materials cost that you want to purchase. And then actually you could do it through your rec committee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Public Works is more than happy to help with any kind of estimates like that. If you're to make a request, we know it can help with those kind of estimates as well.
All right. Anything else?
Equipment, it was down under the operating. That's just where it fell into the presentation. So it's on the screen. We can discuss equipment or.
Do we have to have it?
Pardon me?
Do we have to purchase it this year?
The wheel excavator.
Like, do we have a job that we particularly have to have that excavator for?
Oh, the excavator.
Well, all of the, like,
How do I answer all that in one question? Yes, we do. Anything that, this is not a wish list. Like the wish list, it's 10 times this. So
if you had to borrow money to buy it, would you?
The wheel mounted excavator, it's rare for a municipality not to have a wheel mounted excavator. It replaced a 20 or 30-year-old Lee Bear, so I recommend continuing on with that, either lease or purchase it outright and save on interest. That'll be kind of up to council and our treasurer to weigh out the cost of the interest versus if we had to take a loan for other equipment, but new AVL provider, that's one of the ones on my list. That keeps us legal when it comes to accidents and stuff like that, where we've been very disappointed with before my time. One company, I won't name the company, they were procured. We're unhappy with the service they provide, so we're upgrading to a better AVL provider. Tandem plow truck,
What's an AVL?
it's sorry, my bad. It's a
Come
automatic
on, you folks. Ask-
vehicle locator. It's a GPS for the public works.
So that new software would work with citywide as well.
That's right. So it's a GPS for the trucks that tracks where where all the trucks have been and their speed and then it's starting to be able to integrate. This new program can integrate with like spreader controls, how much sand and salt applications going out at a certain time, plow up, plow down controls for when it comes to somebody trying to sue us for an accident.
So
And
it's huge for liability.
And it does integrate well with our asset manager.
Okay, Craig, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Is it too big a deal to go through each thing and kind of give us a brief of what it is and why you want it?
Absolutely.
Would that be a bit easier for me as opposed to jumping through the list, everybody asking up and down, if we just started at the top? Work your way down, you tell us what it is, where it is, why we need it, and then we can have a discussion on each.
Yes.
Okay.
Just
no,
kind of
I'm good.
follow the sheet.
They should all be in here.
Yes, just interesting.
Sure.
Bring them in more detail here.
No, this is perfect. I'll have, if I have any questions, I'll ask.
Yes. Absolutely.
So through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Middleton, we've already discussed the wheel mounted excavator. The next one, and just correct,
Through Madam Mayor, if we've already discussed the wheel down excavator, when we purchased that, so just so I got this right, we purchased that last year on a 1-year lease with the remainder payment of this year. Is that what the 389,870 is?
that would be the remainder if we were to buy it all out this year. We are 99% sure we've got the option. We didn't consider it because we were at the time in budget season in 2022. Public Works asked council to consider and put money aside and pay out the excavator this year. As long as it was a good machine and it fit our needs and the brusher and the ditching bucket and everything worked good. It was a way to get the machine, lower the cost last year. And as long as we like it, we purchased it this year. With this tough budget year this year, we've requested just as an option to present to council to extend the lease another year since our lease goes to war. It's a lease to own program with a fairly reasonable percentage of what we put towards it. So.
Yeah, but like when we originally bought it from Hardington, the intent was, the agreement with Hardington was we're buying this piece of machinery.
Correct.
That's the intention, yes. We need clarification, or I need clarification, if after a second year of leasing, can we still buy it at that point, or do we need to lease it for the full 4 years? But as Tyson said, it's a tough budget year, which every year is. Would it be better to lease or buy? So those just evaluating the options.
Yeah, no, I understand, but we made the agreement with Hardington that we'd either leased, like we purchased this thing. It wasn't like we just rent it for half a year and
Oh,
get
it
back if we buy
It
it.
was still open. It was a lease to own. If we didn't like the excavator, didn't fit our needs, or our operators couldn't get used to it for some reason, like we did our research and we're very confident it's a great machine and it is. We know that, but it was open to, we could have treated it as a rental and walked away from the agreement.
What does it cost us to rent it for a year?
I think approximately 100,000.
Let's go for that.
If we can.
We've got to cut from 7%, folks. So I think if that's when we can rent, why not? Are we down to 5, Nikki? We're not done.
5.8, let's say 6.
But if we have an option of renting it for one more year, then let's do it.
Well, and again, the analysis was, is it gonna cost us longer over 5 years? Because the question is, can we lease it for another 4 years?
Yes.
Or can we buy it after a second year? Which one's gonna cost us less? In the end, that's what we were trying to figure.
But I
And-
think if you go to the bank and you want to buy that house and you don't have the credit to do it, you don't buy the house. So we've got to find, maybe there's other cuts we can make, but that would be a suggestion for that one. All right, let's go to the next one.
Okay, so next would be does anybody, I don't want to go, I'm trying to rush for our mayor, but I don't want to go too fast and
We know, we talked about the bridge. So-
yeah, just jumping down, we're just focused on equipment. The new AVL provider, that's next on my list to discuss. Did we discuss that enough or
I think so. Oh,
Philip's
sorry,
got a
Philip's
question?
got it.
Philip,
Madam
go
Mayor.
ahead.
So that's a purchase of 50,000. What's the ongoing cost for maintenance? and
Similar
licensing?
to our current operating budget for AVL, which I'd have to pull that up, but I think it's in our operating budget and the operating cost per year doesn't change. We pay, it's kind of like a cell phone bill we pay for the
Okay, I
service.
just wanted to make sure we weren't buying new software for 50,000 and then gonna add another $20,000 annually to ongoing budgets.
No, it's covers the cost of installation and it is an upgrade. The future of this AVL is to try to get away from to integrate it properly with our asset manager, to try to get away from paper plow routes. They should be able to hit a button on a tablet and that'll be in next year's budget. If we do make the transition, hopefully have a tablet or some kind of a device in every truck to hit a button.
No,
Start
I
driving.
like it. I know, we'll know when we miss sanding a road.
Pardon me?
We'll know then when we miss sanding a road.
Yeah,
Can we just go back to the roads needs study?
Yep.
Of 50,000? When did we have our last roads needs study? And I don't think it was a humongous study that we were looking for. But will this study just build on that one? Like, we know what roads need to be fixed. We've got a list of them. Do we need to have a study as well?
so Madam, are you asking me or council?
I'm asking you.
Madam Mayor, I'm sure some of you returning councilors are having deja vu from last year, but our last study was in 2019 where a road need study was tendered. Prices came from anywhere from $8,000 to $55,000 or $60,000, if my memory serves correct. Council selected the lowest, I believe, and of that study, there, without naming consultants, there was a little disappointment. Didn't take into consideration all the factors. Let's keep it as that. To retender a road need study right now, there'll be the scope of work will include a full on traffic volume study, and it will take into the 2019 road need study as well. It will take that in consideration as well. So last year, for you new returning or new counselors, last year the same item was eliminated. I didn't take offense to that. It means that you trusted Public Works to look at which roads need to be done and present that back. And I think we have done a good job of that. The road needs study also helps asset management as well. I don't know if you want to speak to that at all, but we are recommending it again this year.
Okay.
I guess the only thing
No.
I'd say is it adds more accurate information into the pot to spit out more accurate recommendations.
And
Takes the risk into account.
there are some grants that ask for it as well.
Yeah, we had a grant last time and we wasted some of that money because we didn't expend the full amount and get a better study.
Okay, Bill,
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. Same goes, $20,000 traffic calming and speed zone assessment. If we need that assessment, then we know we need to calm traffic. Why are we paying for another study?
That was through Madam Mayor, Councillor Everett. That was a request from council in 2022.
Which number is that? I can't see it.
We are jumping all around if we want
Okay.
to, I can,
Okay, yeah. there we go.
I can get us back on the.
No. We are at,
That's why I said jumping around from here. Yes.
okay, there we go. Yeah, right. Would it be? Would it be part of the road study to say this street needs calming?
No, Madam Mayor, could possibly be provided upon request. I'm sure be fairly similar consultants with their technology, but
Well, keep in mind that that might be one that we could do without. If we
I
have to.
100% agree. I think our speed limits are fairly reasonable, and when they're not, I think we have that. I think we have the bandwidth to make that decision in-house. But that was a request from council in 2022, at the end of 2022.
And nobody has ever told me, other than the Long Lake Road folks, before we reduced the mileage there or the speed there, that they have issues with people speeding by their houses or schools or whatever.
So I'm comfortable with removing that right now in this meeting.
Okay.
Just, I was asked to bring that forward, and
Through you, Madam Mayor, it was the Catholic school. Councillor McDonald at the time wanted this speed move to drop to 50 at Brewer Road on the south end of 38 coming into Sharpeville Lake. And I had a request that the Catholic school parents would like to see the school zone extended, not just to Grec, but right up to the Catholic school, because kids are walking on that street at lunchtime.
Yeah.
On 38. That was where the request came from.
But that we can do without a study.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so that's out.
Okay, so I have council direction to pull that out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Matthew Street pedestrian crosswalk. I thought we had that sorted out.
yep, so we were referring to this sheet just to go through equipment. And but as you like equipment on Michael's sheet, the equipment is kind of blended into all public works projects. So if you want me to get us back on track, I can take us back through the next equipment item if you want, and then we could go through
No.
councilors' questions after.
No, let's just keep going down and get rid of this section. Where we are at 10:38. So we got to get fire up here.
Okay, so after the AVL provider was the last thing I left off on, I'll go to the Hingebrook Sand Dome tarp. That sand dome tarp is due for replacement. It made it to its lifespan, but it is starting to deteriorate. Since the 100,000 has been budgeted, Steve, our road super, has been looking into cheaper options. He hasn't got back to me yet on if they're successful or not, but that's a conservative estimate for the tarp replacement. Tandem plow truck, that's gonna be, I'm sure that's gonna be quite a discussion here. It's Public Works is requesting for tandem for this item, for any tandem plow trucks to not go through the tender process, is to with so many unsuccessful tenders and with the uncertainty, we are proposing to go through the RFQ process instead, even though the value is higher than our procurement policy allows. We are proposing to council that we go through a request for quotation process where we obtain 3 quotes. We can still make a spec list of what we require as a specification, but we feel the tender process being 2 years delayed and the uncertainty, as we've seen the fuel surcharges come in on tendered items anyways. It doesn't seem like it's the safest way to go for these type of equipment anymore. So we're asking to be able to move forward without the tender process and purchase a tandem in 2023 to try to stay within our capital replacement program.
Do we have a list of the vehicles in this package? Because I think council's question is, why do we need another plow? Are we replacing one?
Like,
Or is this in addition?
it is replacing one of the older tandem plows. It's just to surplus one and to try to stay within our replacement schedule to try to reduce maintenance costs. We try to have the tandems. We try to have the tandems within 10 years of age. seems to be the mark where we're starting to pay a lot of high maintenance costs.
Okay, Nikki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So if you surplus it, would it replace one of the ones that you're currently looking for? Would it be, if you replace the truck that you're going to declare surplus, would we be able to patch it together to make it last to replace one of the ones you're currently trying to purchase, like the little orange truck is what I'm thinking of. If you bought a brand new bigger truck, could you make the truck you're replacing last to replace the little orange truck instead of replacing it?
I'm not sure I totally understand your question. The little orange truck is a single axle plow truck. It's specific to its route, and it also does the Charlotte Lake Village and other areas. It's the best vehicle for that route. The tandem is too big, and right now we're doing it with 3/4 tons, and that's proven to be quite difficult. So that orange truck is separate from this. It's actually still, there's some budget remaining from 2022 for that truck. Does that answer your question? Yeah. For sure. Okay, for sure. So what I could do, no, Mayor, our equipment list is not in this high level capital budget package. I could bring that to the next meeting.
Or if you could actually email it out to folks so they could print it. Because again, being new, they don't know what equipment we have other than the ones they see going. And like the next one is the half-ton truck. How many half-ton trucks do we have? What are they needed for? That kind of stuff.
So just before I jump into the next item, half-ton truck, I just wanted to follow up. I just wanted to finalize with Councillor Gowdy that the reason we've got a couple trucks, and I can't name their exact equipment number right now, but we've got tandem trucks that are as old as 2004. Every year it's kind of comes down to which one's performing best at the time, to which ones. The goal is ultimately to surplus them and get a good return before they get too bad, as you know. Right now, before this is approved, whether we know we have to do a tandem, that means we can't surplus for 2 years. We have to make one last for 2 more years. If council approves us to spend $300,000 on an RFQ right now, we could go after the budget's finalized and purchase one in 2023. That may determine which one of our trucks needs to be surplus at that time, whichever one we think is in the worst shape at the time.
Okay, and I think we need to answer the question. Are we prepared to do an RFQ instead of a tender? I personally think that's the way to go now because nobody wants to put their name on the line for delivery. We're okay with that? Nods? Yes? All right. Yes. Thank
you, Madam Mayor. Is this the pattern for other municipalities?
Tyson could answer that.
Through Madam Mayor to Councillor Irwin, this is a pattern for all of Ontario, probably all of Canada and the United States.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Craig?
So the tandem it's replacing, Tyson. Is it like unsafe for the road?
No,
Are we having many issues with it?
high maintenance costs.
As in
And
like
the risk.
roughly,
Well, it's just getting to the age where I can't tell the exact kilometers, but with a 20-year-old truck, 15-year-old truck, we're just getting to that time where engine, transmission, any of these huge $20, $30, $50,000, the frame fails an inspection. We just learned with the single axle, we thought it was good. We thought it was safe for the road, failed an inspection, 50, 60,000 to replace. So trying to get these stay within a replacement schedule that doesn't have those kind of surprises. So.
Okay, let's go on to the next one.
Madam Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
Councillor Smith has.
Philip.
So if you don't mind, I actually have a question for the treasurer about the process. So if we're going to switch from a tender to a request for quotations, do you believe the policy is strong enough for us to actually see enough comparison and quotes?
Yes, we have, and I had it up here. We can purchase used equipment. The way the market is, and I'm an office person, but the way I understand the market is supply and demand is not there. You're gonna pay a high premium price. I don't like seeing projects go over multiple years, so if we can purchase a piece of used equipment that will fit Public Works needs or any department's needs, then we have that in our procurement policy that we can purchase used equipment. Council does not even have to follow their procurement policy. They can choose not to, not advisable, but we can purchase a used piece of equipment. So it's good to get, as long as we have 3 prices of something, then I think we're still getting the best price and the best value for the residents and saving
So
administrative
you're
costs.
expecting to see multiple.
I would, yeah, at least 2 or 3 prices, yes.
I can explain that even further too, to just really simplify it and not overwhelm council with this stepping outside of the tender process. The last tender only, there was only one bidder anyways. And we've also we've done other tenders in 2022 where nobody bid on equipment. So it's guaranteed that you're gonna get 3 because it's a simpler, you're just requesting a quote from a company. So they'll all give you a quote, they'll all give you a delivery date, or I would say I'm more comfortable with getting more pricing from an RFQ, but it's just, we've got to try something because we just had a truck show up this year. That was tendered 2 years ago, and the whole reason of a tender process is to get a price locked in, and a global pandemic happened in the meantime, and they still did a surcharge on top of on when it showed up. We still had to pay more than the tender price. So that's it's a tough one for sure.
As
One
long
of the
as we
lines
get
in the
comparables,
procurement
right?
policy says that we can sole source when the required item is in short supply due to market conditions. And that certainly applies in the market that we're in right now.
You don't think we're in a supply and demand market? I'm slowly losing my voice.
We've had a few requests that are sole sourced and without comparison pricing. So that's my concern, that if we're going down this road, I want to make sure that council is presented with the options and what they look like. So we're not
Okay,
sole
and that's,
sourcing everything.
that's fair. That's fair.
One of my top priorities is making sure council is comfortable with what Public Works is doing. This is just what I'm presenting to you, what Public Works thinks is the best scenario to stay within our replacement schedule. We're more than willing to create a separate report. We can come to council with what we propose. We can take recommendations from council, but we can add as much. We still want to put out specs on top of these, go along with these RFQs. We can add into the process whatever councilors want, whatever we can add to make council comfortable with the process. That's a top priority for me. So I'm very open to suggestions. Just what we're doing is not working. So
Okay, let's keep going because in 5 minutes, we're going to go to fire. So
Okay.
move it along.
half-ton truck to replace truck number 45. That's the silver F-150 that Development Services was going to surplus 1 or 2 years ago. Public Works used it as a patrol truck. We used it for summer students, and now it's finally bit the dust. So it's the way that we do half tons is we try to cycle those down from office staff. So myself or Noah would, well, at this point, since we can't afford to buy 2 trucks, one for myself and Noah. Noah and I share a truck, so that new half ton would come to the Public Works office and then cycle down to, eventually it would retire as a patrol truck similar to truck 1, 4, or 45. That's what's in there for that. Any questions about that before I move on?
No, Dixon's Crescent is off the block. It was,
That did come back in after the department head meeting. Dixon Crescent was one that we actually meant to shift to 2024. And it seems to have snuck back in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
The drum roller.
It really wants to get resurfaced. It really does. You can tell.
Oh, the people tell us quite well about that road.
Yeah.
So smooth drum roller, do we have to have it?
Short answer,
What is,
The big roller that goes behind the truck.
Madam Mayor, smooth drum roller is a ride-on roller.
Oh.
We have one currently for our whole 500 kilometers of roads. Constant requests from counselors, why are you not packing the gravel behind after you grade? We have 3-4 graders going at one time, and we currently have one smooth drum roller. So the goal is to, as this one is also, it's approaching its end of service life, the one that we've got. We're looking to get another one, so each area has one, rather than floating it back and forth. And that's the price of a used smooth drum roller.
Let's just set that aside for now.
Okay.
It's a nice to have and would help a lot, but can we afford it?
My request would be to counselors to just think before asking why we're not packing behind the grader every time.
Well, we can simply say we couldn't afford to buy one this
For
year,
sure.
but we'll try and buy it next year.
That's right. Yeah,
I like-
I want your help with the public, that's all.
Yeah.
And
Nikki.
Susan. Sorry to be rude, and I don't mean to be disrespectful. I've never seen the roller go back behind any grader. So I convinced me that this happens, where it would happen.
AVL, well, there's currently no AVL, but I could upgrade our AVL to put one on it this year, but it's, the main time it gets used is when we have our gravel tender, and the new gravel's going down, but it's, yeah, I can look into that for operations wise, and we could put a AVL GPS on it if we want.
Susan and then Bill.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just following up on Nikki's comment, if she's never seen the roller, I can say I haven't either, but would the roller, when you pack the gravel down, does that mean the road surface is going to last longer for the traffic that's on it?
Ideally, yes.
So
I
that
have seen the roller.
potentially is cost saving if you, yeah.
That's the goal.
Okay. Bill?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just for clarification, I spend a lot of time on the back roads. I spend a lot of time waiting for the roller and the grader.
All right. Cindy?
If I can't hear you, Madam Mayor, is that something when we do the gravel that the contractor could supply the roller, part of the tender?
Currently, they do. We use ours as much as we can, but currently we either, during the gravel contract, we'll either rent one, or the gravel contractor will rent us one, or they'll just provide one for a rental fee. It's trying to get on as per counselors and the public request, is trying to get on a better program where we're packing behind our regular grading operations, so.
Okay, let's keep going. The trailer. 20-foot trailer.
So our road supervisor could explain the 20-foot trailer better than me, but there is a certain, there's certain machines that we pay quite a bit to float, and their current trailer, the $7,000 is already, I'd have to bring back the equipment number to council, but that is to replace one of our trailers that currently doesn't exactly fit our needs. So I think if my memory serves correct, there's about $4,000 return on the sale, on the surplus of a trailer that doesn't suit our needs. And then this $7,000 would be the remaining cost to upgrade to one that can be pulled behind our new 1-ton trucks, rather than having to get a dump truck with a tag along. We can have a little bit of a smaller trailer to float littler pipe and stuff like that
Okay,
around.
and it's 7,000, so it's nothing huge.
And as long as we get rid of the one we don't want.
Yes, yes.
Actually,
100,000.
to Councillor Smith's point about as long as we get rid of the one that we don't want, we're just finalizing prices on our recent surplus and gov deals after being the council allowing us to do the online marketplace for sale of surplus equipment. It's yielded some really impressive numbers on some equipment just in the last week or so that closed. So I could provide a list of that as well.
Okay, what's a 1,000-pound diesel plate packer?
So that's
The
a walk
packer.
behind
Sorry.
packer.
Yeah.
That you pretty standard using that for pipe installation. So it constantly counselor will ask us why we don't pack the gravel good enough around the pipes as we're installing them, why we gotta come back and fix them later. Diesel plate packer, unfortunately, we still share it among all public works operations, but it would definitely help us for better practices for pipe installation and packing underneath infrastructure.
We can rent those, right?
We also can rent those, yeah.
Okay, so let's question mark that one. School zone signs and lights. I think that'd be nice, but I don't think we can afford it this year.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. Where were you thinking for these?
So that's something that, through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Gowdy, that's something that council has already purchased, I believe in 2018 or 19. So we've got brand new boxes of school zone lights, the flashing lights, solar powered ones that were supposed to be for in front of the school. And they just never got installed. And so we brought to the CPAC committee the cost of those. And it's in the minutes of that police advisory committee to bring it to the 2023 budget for discussion. And in that time frame, I've got estimates from electrical contractors on installation, and installation alone is $40,000. We've already got most of the materials we need to do the project. I think they're valued around 10 or 15,000 or 18. Yeah, I think it's 18,000 they were valued at back then. That's just the installation cost.
Bill?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. You said solar powered?
So through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Everett, the school zone lights are actually set up for solar power. We've been advised by our electrician that quoted the project that we should add conduit for a future stub because they don't have the longest lifespan for solar. And so this price includes adding a conduit to stub in to someday tie into the power grid.
So not necessary,
Pardon me?
not necessary because they're already self-powered.
Currently they
Yeah.
are, but it's just the lifespan of those. I think he said like you're lucky to get 10 years out of them. I think it was closer to 5. So he recommended to tie them into the grid.
Philip, you're next, and then Craig. Okay,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm surprised we have the signs because I remember having discussions about lights for the school crossing before and asking if we were going to have the school board pay for that if that's what they want. So I guess the question is again, have we approached the school board if this is something that they're looking for, or is this something that is required that we have to do? Because I was fine with the signs. It was just the lighting that adds the expense to it, right? So.
well, and I'm sure we would give them permission to put that sign on our road allowance too.
No, but we're paying $40,000 or something. So if they're the ones that want lights, then perhaps they should be paying for it.
I honestly don't think we can afford that this year. Plus, I think there's the sign at the top of the hill that says caution, and the speed is lower. We can lower the speed at St. James. Have there been issues? There's never been an accident in front of either of those schools that I know of. And reducing the mileage or the speed on those roads has certainly helped. And I think most follow it, so. Susan?
Well, taking your point, I think it might be worthwhile if we put it on hold, if we contact the school board and see what they're willing to
Contribute.
contribute, because it might become economically feasible then.
Yes. Okay, okay, so Kathy's going to contact the principal and waste.
I'll try to follow up with that and throughout the year, and I'm sure the police advisory committee will be, it will be a discussion there as well, but my recommendation then at that point would be to surplus them. If we're gonna, if it doesn't happen in 2023, my recommendation would be to surplus them, well, to see if they're still worth anything. I think we've been holding on to them for long enough that, I mean, I compare them kind of to our like, you know, the speed flashing signs.
Yeah.
Those have like the price of those, they used to be a tow behind trailer that was worth 10 grand, and now for $3,000, you can buy one that's solar powered that goes on a pole. So I think the technology is improving on that stuff. So I think if we're not going to put them up, we should surplus them on Gov Deals.
All right. We have the very last one was the steel garbage boxes at 15,000.
Yeah, that's another one similar to Dixon that snuck back into the budget. It's
Okay.
been at the department heads meeting. It was removed from the 2023, pushed into 2024.
Okay. All right. So
I will make a note, a couple things, sorry,
go ahead.
go ahead, Fran.
No, you go ahead.
It seems like we're wrapping up for public works, so I just want to thank council. I want to let you know, we are open to any suggestions on this budget. Wish we could do all the work, but we can't. There's something that we didn't mention is all these road projects that were removed after the department heads meeting and other projects that were removed. Keep in mind that will impact the operating budget. Hot mix, for example, will go up drastically if we don't do this resurfacing projects that were presented. That'll be after this capital meeting. Michael and I will work to increase those operating budgets to cover those costs of hot mix and stuff.
Don't increase them too much. Okay, that's it for roads. Susan, not,
I'm sorry.
not yet.
I just have a question. The hazardous waste.
Use your microphone.
Sorry, bad at this. The hazardous waste depot, $29,482. Now, that's what I have at the bottom of my sheet. You had something different?
Nope.
So
Aye.
that's to be moved to 2024?
The only thing that was in mine was the steel bin,
No,
unless,
at the bottom here. They were just right there.
okay,
Tyson had
waste?
40 on his presentation, but I think that was because of the 20,000 for,
See here.
I was
right.
making an assumption. I could be wrong.
I think we're gonna, Michael and I can look into that, Madam Mayor. I think Councillor Smith's bang on with, of my $40,000 estimate, some of those costs were actually operating costs rather than capital costs, like such as collection of hazardous waste material. So I think that's why you're seeing that discrepancy there.
okay,
Okay. Thank
all
you.
right. Okay, now, people want to stand up and have a little stretch and or do you want to just keep going?
Thank you, council.
I'm gonna start smoking again. Anyway.
Because all the money we just saved is nice the chairs, the council.
Oh, we do need to buy some good chips. My back is killing me. I'm bringing my own.
That's something we can consider, but we have to put in the operating budget.
They do. Yeah.
Well, we could have brought the ones that we did get from the county, but boy, they really make you move all over the place,
Yeah.
those blue ones. I think we got
My
those.
back will get better at one of these points.
Well, yeah. Yes. Yeah, they are. There we are. There's fire. Oh, did they? Good. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Was it? Oh, well, that's good. Yeah. You got enough time to go to each of them, so that's a good idea for another year. If it's really, yeah, because I know that other ones did that before, and they said they did that sort of that way, that you had to go to each of the managers and get an overview of what it was, right? But that's something to. Yes. You could have a coffee with Kelly. Oh, that's what yours is coffee with Kelly and everybody else you have to go around, eh? No. He would run the stations, yeah. 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 Every year? Okay. Oh, social services, yeah. Oh, good, yeah. Yeah, be all theirs, yeah, through public, oh, good. But that's a good thing, I should mark that down for next time for, yeah. Orientation, yeah. No. No, you can ask. Right. Oh, good. Yeah. Isn't that nice? Oh, that's good. Yeah, oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. Should write that down. Print it down now, and as long as I can read it later. It's very different go with this head from this, but. Okay. Yes. Ask. I'm not gonna ask, I was gonna ask him because that's, the thing he's not working either. That you put your, they have the aluminum done. And, oh, wait till I'm just done talking to him. I'll ask him to have a look at it. I'll ask him to have a look at it. The washer. Smell in there.
Smell. Yeah, that's,
I'll ask Andy.
quick question, nothing to do with today.
Okay.
My daughter is, I think I talked about her wedding. On Labor Day, so she wants to go with you.
Okay.
So do I have to call you or what's? the
Yeah, if
best-
she has an email address, if you
Yeah.
give- I can send her some sample ceremonies that I have, that she can mix and match them. Or I can make copies of it, or I can send them to you, and you can send them on to her, whatever.
Okay.
Because there's four, I've got 4 different ones, but I give that to the, like, because then they can mix and match them, if there's things they like
Yeah.
in one, but not in another,
Well,
or.
and I know what she's hoping is her future sister-in-law. She wants her to be participating in the service.
And she can do that.
Yeah, so it would be a combination of you and her
Right.
doing.
And then she can explain it, sit down with me and we can go
Yeah.
through that. For sure.
All right.
Right, I'll
that's great.
send, how about if I send them to you and then you'll have them?
Okay.
Okay, all right. I'll do that.
Lynn, would you be okay with having a meeting on the 31st instead of a whole day? And have one other day, a half a day for the other half of the budget.
Because it's taking time to
Well,
learn all these things.
Yeah.
sit here for a day and go through all of the operations that we could go through. It's a lot.
Yep. Yep.
And I
We
think
do it
if
over
you
2 or
do it a
3,
half
yeah,
a day-
3 days.
Sometimes you get tired and sometimes then you might rush through and not, it's like, oh, I just
Yeah.
want this to be over.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Well,
Or- And don't listen.
the first year with so many new people, it's a lot of work.
There is,
Oh.
there,
And you want to,
yeah.
you want to go home after this is done and say, yes, we did the best we could to get it where you want.
Yeah, and even things like today, there's like, I need time to now absorb some of these things that we talked about today. And the list that they're gonna, like, I mean, what is the equipment? Like your point, how do we know if it's a good idea to buy another truck if we don't even know how many trucks do we have? I have no idea.
Like,
exactly, yeah. So for us to push it off, I was hesitant about that idea. You know, like as Tyson's point, we want to keep, we don't want all of a sudden be at the point where a bunch of them die. And then we're forced to overpay for something too. So, yeah, no, I'm fine with that. I mean, it just, we'll have to pick a day where I feel like there's a lot of. stuff.
I'm gonna grab another cookie.
Yeah, yeah,
Hungry today.
yeah, because I have an in-person Quincy Conservation coming up this month.
My family is January 3rd.
I think mine's, it's coming up, I think, on the 24th, and then Waste Management has got a meeting this month already, and the Economic Development, we've already had one now. Well, I've got.
Okay.
Well, and that's fine, but I think that will help.
We're going to get started again. Please take your seats.
Oh, excuse me.
We have the chief in front of us. Fellows, come on. Sit down, mother says. Okay, we're going to go back and we are dealing with fire. And
Yeah, no.
Chris, can you hear me? Hello,
Can you hear?
can you hear me? Yeah. Hello, hello, tap it. Hello. Oh, Is
Try
that,
mine.
is that now?
Can you hear me? Okay, mine's on.
Is mine on? Well, I will speak very loud then, because we've got to get this meeting done. We are
Same as what you were with. the-
dealing with
Work.
fire. And it's on page,
Right there, you start at the top of the bottom of the first page. All there, that's your capital.
it's working now. I don't think I have to holler anymore. I think it's working.
Yes. You're working.
Okay. All right. Welcome, Chris. And you're going to take us away. Not literally, we hope.
Put your mic on.
Sorry, thank you, Madam Mayor. So I've been asked that we go through line by line, but I'll do it very quickly. And if you have questions, so I don't want to, it's getting on close to lunch. So for the first item is the personal protective equipment. So with our wildfire program, we found that we're not keeping up with our PPE. So the bucket gear, obviously in the summer months is not, it's not adequate. Well, it's adequate, but it's not something that we want to do with it's so hot to retain the firefighters and keep them going. So that they do have these coveralls that we can purchase. However, they're quite expensive. So they are in there for that item. They're $60,000 for the to facilitate all the firefighters for that. We have passed on that in the past. We've sort of looked over it, but we thought this year that maybe we should look at that as well. So that's that is that piece. Ice water. We had a training session on the weekend. We found out that our raft, we have it's called a Fortuna. It's for ice water rescue, retrieval of patients in the water. We found out it's leaking severely. It's 20 years old. We need to replace it. Am I going too quickly?
No.
Okay, all right. So it's not broken down, so it's just protective equipment.
In that $10,000, the second line?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's okay. So that's that section. If there's any questions on either one of those, yes.
So going forward, could we, on that subject you're just at, could you say something like emergency response equipment? i.e. ice water raft? So we can follow on our list?
Sure.
You know what I mean? You know what it's for, but we don't see. I think that's where the kind of the confusion was.
I can
If
do that.
that's,
So that is a raft. It looks like a banana. So it has a hole at each end. So the firefighters, there's two firefighters, one deploys on one end and one goes to the end and picks the patient out. And then there's a group that pulls them back out of the water. So this piece of equipment is as I say, it's been worn out. Having said that, we had our chiefs meeting last night. Parham, the association there would like to pay half for one down at their station and we pay the municipality pay the other half. So I budgeted for both of them. So
Okay,
hopefully that's something that we can go forward with.
that's the
I
ice,
can, if you want.
ice boat.
Can they see it? Okay.
Chris, can you also mention, and I know we're going to be doing it probably during the fire emergency plan, but we also do the ice water, when you're talking about this equipment,
Yes,
how essential it is because we do the ice water rescue for North Frontenac Township as well.
thank you for that. Yes, Kathy, that's correct. So we do deploy services for North Frontenac for ice water and for auto extrication as well. So we-
It is a little bit small, but we've just shared the screen so you can maybe see that little bit
See.
of detail, if that
Yeah.
helps.
Yeah.
I know it's really
Can't
small.
see,
Actually, people have it now, I think, on the paper. Did you find your copies?
not the details like.
Oh,
this.
I see. I can't see the details. Okay,
Yes.
and fire
No,
hoses. Oh,
no.
Cindy,
Through you, Madam Mayor. So if we are with North Frontenac with this, is there any way that they might want to help out with the raft price or something like that? Do you think they would contribute something?
I can,
Seeing how it's a shared service that maybe they could chip
through
in?
you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Kelsey, I certainly ask them that, yes.
are there things they do for us that they'll ask us to pay if we ask that?
I'm aware of. It's usually with our services are going to them for that stuff.
Okay.
I think it's a staffing issue at their level that sometimes that they're not available and they don't have the training provided to them. So.
Right,
yes.
okay.
Okay. No, absolutely right. for sure.
Communications equipment.
Yes. So our communication system is quite antiquated. It's since my year of being here, I've noticed that we have a lot of older equipment we can't replace. Also, we have a lot of dead areas. And I don't know if you noticed when we were on our bus tour, some of you weren't there, but I was noticing also we don't have any phone service. And we don't have any communications. That's not good for us. So this is a lease that I have searched out with the company over a 5-year period for that 78,000 a year. It's a total of 384,000. I think with interest, it's about $8,000. So I'm trying to prorate it out so we're not hitting, you know, the budget all at once. So
Is that with any one provider?
that is with Bearcom out of Kingston, who I've dealt with for 15 years. They're probably the only one that's really going to come up with a program that I feel comfortable with, that I know it will work for this municipality.
Because we are getting Rogers towers now,
Right.
which will help the phone system down the road.
So Madam Mayor, this does include towers, radios,
Oh.
all of that. It's all been done. So I guess the county did a study back prior to me, a few years back, for a $22 million project, which I thought was a little high, for all of County of Frontenac, including the islands. It never came to fruition. So I spoke to my rep that I've dealt with over the years. He has a study that was done with the areas that are not covered and so on. And this is the price that they came up with for that program. So it's, I don't think it's a good price. I've spoken to some number of chiefs outside the area of Frontenac, and they were quite surprised how reasonable it was for that. So, and it's a digital system, so it brings us up to where we need to be in our standards of today's.
Now, is that something that could be expanded to North Frontenac as well?
No,
No,
No.
it's a separate.
that will not, we can't help them. Unfortunately, they got to stay with the analog system then.
Right.
So.
Yes, and the chief is right. I think if some, especially for the new councils, there was a gap analysis done. And that's where we had to do a lot of research for all the fire as to where all our gaps really were, where for radio systems, but he's correct. It never did come to fruition. So we're in that situation. I mean, I forget how much it cost us, but Kelly Pender would be able to, if anybody had any other questions, he'd certainly be able to tell further.
Craig,
Through you, Madam Mayor. Chris, so this is a $78,000 a year contract for 4 years, 5 years.
Sorry. Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councilor Middleton, yes, for 5 years. So there would be a $384,000 at the end, and we would own the system.
so 380, that's half of this, right?
Well, this is only 1 year.
This is 1 year.
This is fine.
So we pay, you said we paid 300.
78,000 a year for 5 years.
For 5 years.
Oh, I
Comes up to
see.
300 and some odd.
Okay, right, gotcha.
Just to add to that too, and Michael brought that up to me, it's a good point. The next generation 911 system is going to be mandatory in 2025. So this system will marry into that quite nicely as well. So we won't be forced into an upgrade at that point all at once.
Good. Okay, fire hoses at 11,000, that's pretty standard. And fire station equipment,
Looking at it there.
So yeah, this is for putting in the general for the meeting areas, and they get the iron hall and the other two, not the road station, we use the table there as well. I'll get into it, but we're looking to do some major renovations of the organization.
You don't think it'll happen, Cindy? You don't think it'll happen, or?
I just know over the years, we've put a lot of money into that hall because it's such an old hall. Do we really need to do that, or should we wait and someday maybe get a new hall like the rest of the area, right? Because it's the only hall that hasn't been replaced in Frontenac, in our area.
Wait till the fire master plan. Presentation.
That's what I'm thinking. Do we want to do that? And then they come back and say, no, you got to get a new hall in Arden, and we've just wasted $175,000, right? Like,
Under the fire master.
Well, there's lots of stuff in there that's maintenance. Yes,
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Kelsey. So what I budgeted for the Arden Hall for renovations is 30,000. So to your point, I agree, we need to look at a new station, but however, that's going to be a project that this council and probably the next council is going to have to look at. I'm getting cost estimates with septic wells, so on and so forth, for approximately 1.5 to 1.7 right now. That's a steel building, 2 bays, 60 feet long, 50 feet wide. So
nothing special.
then you got to look for a location. So if I want to retain and recruit new firefighters in that station, I need to do something with that station. And you've all seen the condition of it. So to put 30,000 into right now is a Band-Aid, but it's certainly going to keep it going for now.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
so the other ticket is a generator for the Charlotte Lake Station. We did price out all the stations plus the municipal office and the medical center. But we decided that we should prorate all the generators in the different buildings. So the one that we thought was most critical right now is the Charlotte Lake Station, because that's our EOC, our Emergency Operations Center. It would be a propane run generator in that location for there. Also, it would run our fuel depot at the site as well. So that's that piece there. 100 for the generator, 120,000. That is standalone generators. They're not cheap. There again is another product that's gone up in a. That's what it is. I priced two companies to get them. First, we had to get it. So,
so
yeah.
these are Generacs.
That was one company, and the other one was I forget the name of the product, but it was the equivalent for the wattage and everything else for the power. So, I mean, right now we're running a portable at the site, but it doesn't run the whole station. So we wouldn't be able to run an EOC there.
We took the one from the office.
Yes. Okay, dry hydrant, 30,000. 25 was Arden's fire hall.
30.
Vehicle bays, so the floor drains that we put in at the Charlotte Lake Station, we have to resurface it now. So that's what that's for. There will be some reduced costs in that from the contractor, because there was some damage done to the floor when they put the drains in. So that'll have to be done.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. You, Craig.
How many amp service do you have at the fire station, Charlotte Lake?
Sorry.
What amp service do you have at the Charlotte Lake Fire Hall? In the panel box, 400?
Yes, it is 400.
Okay.
Okay, Cindy.
Thank you through you, Madam Mayor. So the 25,000 to resurface inside the fire hall, is that a necessity, or could we push that for another year?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Kelsey. I don't know what damage it would do to the concrete. I can inquire about that, because we have raw surface there of concrete. So I'm not sure, but I mean, we could maybe look at that. Yep.
Okay, we got the numbers to add up. All right. So dry hydrant of 30,000. We've had that in for a few years.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So we reduced that. We have one permit that we need to fulfill with the conservation to install the hydrant. We also need to repair the one at Sharpet Lake. It needs some work done to it. So we figured that the cost of 30,000 will cover both.
Any questions? Nikki?
We budgeted 15,000 last year and only spent 194. So are we really gonna get the work done?
And through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Gowdy, good question. Yes, we are. We thought we were going to get all those permits last year and we didn't. And we only got the one and it was later in the year and we should have moved on it sooner, but we couldn't get a contractor. So we're definitely going to get one this year. So.
Okay, Philip, did you have your hand up?
Just where's the one permit for?
I believe it's down in the around the Long Lake area. I'm not sure. I'll have to verify that. I can bring that back to council if they want. Yeah.
All right, and training, 25,000?
Yes, so what we're expecting is that we're going to be doing another recruitment this spring. Our numbers are up in Sharpet Lake. We're pretty comfortable there, but and RM, we need more people there and also definitely in Mountain Grove and Arden. So this is you'll find out when we do our special meeting that we're going to talk about the certification, the mandatory certification of the province. It's quite expensive. So we have to do that. All our recruits that are coming through, we do it with third party. We don't do it in-house because the paperwork and the training programs and everything else. There's a company in Leeds and Granville that does that for us, and it's proven to be quite successful for us. We ran 14 people through so far last year, and it worked really well. So, and that we'll talk about that at the next special meeting.
Nikki, go ahead.
So you ran 14 people through last year at a cost of 6,000, or are not all the bills in?
Oh, it was more than 6,000. There was a level 1 and level 2, so it was 14,000, and I believe the level 2 was. You don't remember? I believe it's around 12,000 as well. So, yeah. I can't.
So Michael has it in a wrong column.
We can look at that.
Sometimes. All right, so we'll check that. Respiratory protection, 20,000.
So with the new section 21 guidelines, health and safety, everyone has to carry their own SCBA mask. We don't transfer those around, given especially with the pandemic, the recent issues with that. And that's still not over. So just the mask alone are about $500 to $600. And then there's the fit testing that goes with it. That's another expense and so on. So to be comfortable with it, I put 20 in there. Will I use it all? I can't say for sure, but that's what we budgeted for. So.
Okay. And apparatus and vehicle purchases. This is always a hot topic. Sure.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I did talk about this at the last council meeting. I think that I didn't really explain well enough what we're looking for. So what we're looking for is a 4-door emergency response vehicle and a pickup with the proper equipment that's on it for medical responses, ice water responses, wildfire responses, transporting people for training, all of the above. Pricing a brand new vehicle. I did that again when I left. I got some pricing, and it's around $100,000 for a new vehicle. The one that I'm looking at, it's still there. It's sitting at 70,000. It's got 80,000 kilometers. It's like brand new. This does go outside the box, as I talked about with the with the procurement. But my recommendation to council on this is that we should be looking at something like this instead of going to, I understand that not everybody realizes what we do in our business, but I can assure you that my 36 years that I credit that a vehicle of this type for this municipality would do them for 15 years. Easy, so.
Is there any way that you can get two other comparable prices for us?
I can try. The problem is the fact that the reason it's unique is because it's a long box. It's an 8-foot box. There's not a lot of them around. With that equipment that's on them, it's very difficult. They're mostly the trucks out there. Everybody has got the shorter boxes, and it won't work for us for our equipment. So what we do is we put a canopy or a cap on the back, and then we have a slide out tray. All our equipment sits in this custom tray. And so we've got everything, so it's not exposed to the elements outside, as I explained before. We're replacing a vehicle that's a 2008. It was never really equipped for the job it's doing right now. So this is something that I think, and also that with the safety features on the vehicle for health and safety, the stability control and the anti-roll system and all that is on this truck. And that's something that, you know, certainly we need to have to consider with running
Nikki, you have a
calls.
question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chief, if you had to cut something from your budget, could you make do for another year with your 2008?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Gowdy, probably not for that vehicle. It's too old. Yeah, it's an 08. It's past its life. We already gave up one when I got my vehicle. And Public Works is using it right now, and it's the same. It's quite old. So it's not in very good shape.
Okay, Craig?
If you need the pickup truck so bad, do you think you could forfeit your $120,000 generator that you're using with your portable generator now for a year?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Middleton. We could certainly look at that, yes.
Oh, sorry, Lynn.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. So the 125 that you're proposing here, is that a new purchase or the used $70,000 purchase with the full equipment in it?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Gilge. That's for a new vehicle. So I left it in there just in case, you know, I wasn't sure what direction council wanted to go. So I left it in there. My goal is actually to stay under or around the $100,000 mark for this vehicle, to be realistic for us.
So you're saying it's 25,000 to equip it properly?
Okay, Philip?
Sorry. I know I explained this at the last council meeting. I got a quote for about 80,000 for a brand new truck from Kelladar. And I'm on Ford right now. So I don't know what extras you're adding on the truck, but a bare bones truck with an 8-foot box, $65,000. No, it is.
It is 4 doors, it's right there.
So,
Cab, long box.
okay, through Madam Mayor to Councillor Smith. So with the diesel is what we're looking at. It's an additional that 10,000 you add on to that. With the skid plates, well, I have a quote here actually from Ford, 101,425 with the equipment that we need on it. So I did do my research on this. I'm not lying to you. So I'm trying to be clear on this, that
But is there a lot of, is it all needs for $100,000 or is there a lot of wants? We want it all chromed out. We want it.
No. This is safety features, things like that we need. So it's all stuff like backup cameras and anti-roll systems, skid plates, the off-road package, all those things that we need to have on there, because we're not going just on paved roads with these
No, I
things.
know. And I'm pricing a truck for
Yeah,
a farm
so-
and I'm doing the same thing, but I'm not spending $100,000 for a farm
Right.
truck.
So I'm looking at trying to get something for the best bang for our dollar for, you know, at a used price. And it's something that's like brand new, basically with 80,000 kilometers, which I know is going to last us for, like I say, 10 to 15 years easy. So the 08 that we're replacing it can't even take the capacity of the weight of the trailer and the equipment that's on it now. It's not safe. The guys they're not comfortable with it.
So back to the issue of having comparable prices. You found that one in Calader. Check the internet, see what you can find that's comparable to that. If you can find that, bring that to us before we decide about buying this truck. Is that what I'm hearing? Or do an RFQ?
If I do a comparison, can I put a deposit on this one till we get fine? Hopefully they'll hold it for me.
Will they give you back your money?
Yes.
Give them $100.
But I don't know that we'll get another one like in this condition. Like, I'm not gonna buy something, I can find all kinds of them, but
Yeah.
whether they're gonna be in the same condition, that's
Yeah.
so.
Are we okay with Chris putting a deposit on this one? Till he's done some more research?
I guess it depends if you scrap the generator.
Scrap the what?
Generator.
Listen, when hydro goes out and nobody has hydro, we have a tractor with a generator that does not work real well.
It doesn't run everything.
No, it runs very little.
But when you're in an emergency,
That I don't know. So
there's a
there's
big difference with emergency.
Thank,
procedure, though.
thank you, Madam Mayor. I mean, I think the generator is a separate issue to
Yes.
look at, because certainly I know that the family health team, they have various vaccines and medicines, and they have to be refrigerated, and it's a real problem. So it's, I think that's something that has to be investigated. I think if you can come back with us with some comparable quotes, then we'll have done our due diligence. Philip, I hear you, but I think that the farm truck and the emergency response requirements are not necessarily comparable. Not having any particular experience in this area, except having been working a farm. So I know those requirements. I don't know the emergency requirements, but if you've got to use, we're putting money out for these rafts and so forth, and the technical requirements. Diesel, 8-foot box, certainly harder to find. So not questioning you, but I think it would be helpful to have those comparable. And I'm puzzled why Ford is coming back at a higher rate than when you went to Caladar. And I'm assuming that was Ford as well. So
yeah, there's
what the difference is.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you'll do your homework
Yes,
so that we can make a decision, and if it's refundable.
for sure.
yes.
That's true, Madam Mayor, too, Councillor. It's sort of apple to oranges, really, when you compare what we require for emergency services we do to, I mean, you can buy a bare bones fire truck, but it may not meet the needs and circumstances of the community. Like, there's all different ways of looking at it, right? So, and to the generator, to you're talking about the vaccines. I know when we had the storm back in May, one of the staff were running back and forth with the vaccines to their home
Yes,
because there was no hydro.
that's correct.
So what our plan was is through with the committee, the control group, is to have a fridge specifically at the fire station for vaccines in case of emergency. So it would be locked, obviously be secured, but that was our plan. So sorry, Councillor Middleton, but that it is a bit of a necessity for us. We need to think about, we're getting more and more events at all times of the year. And we were without hydro in Arden, I think, for over a week. And we had a generator we gave them there to run to operate the fuel pumps and stuff there. So it's not going to get any better, I don't think, as years go by. So
Okay, let's move on.
Madam
Oh,
Mayor,
sorry.
just speaking to that point, if I read the budget survey correctly, and I recognize it was a very small sample, but it seems to me that there was a long green line for climate change, that was really important, and which speaks to your point.
And neither of these generators are for the medical center.
No.
No, that's why we
Not
would
at
take
this
the
time.
vaccines there.
we do have a price, we priced out for one there, but right now we were trying to prorate the buildings as we go along. So
Yes.
I mean, it's an over $500,000 hit if we did everything that we
Yeah.
wanted to do right now. We just can't do that.
Oh, no. All right, the next thing is computer replacements.
So Michael tells me we
Yeah.
have to do that.
Well, that is a list that was provided to me by the county IT department of different ones in the stations, and I don't think it's in there. I have my binder, but there's one for almost every station, I believe.
And mine, I don't know. But
County. gives us
I-
them.
mine didn't work today here.
So the revenue in fire is coming from reserve.
Yes.
183.
So the list of computers is mentioned the Mountain Grove Fire Department, the Arden Fire Station Chief Jeff Matson, CF Fire Chief Chris McDonough, Parham Fire Station, and then 2 for the garages.
Okay. Any questions on that? I have a question on the reserves. Why are we transferring more than we need?
That was a Michael oversight. So as I said earlier, all the capital projects we're trying to pull from reserves. That extra 339,000 was the other generators that we removed, but I didn't go up and adjust the reserve line.
Oh,
I've now fixed that, and it's offsetting through the money that's being transferred to reserves and still coming out to that net 727,000 that we were suggesting. Does that make sense, Madam Mayor?
No.
No?
there's no 723.
No, so the beginning slide that I presented where we're saying 2023 draft budget to 2022 that we're raising $727,000 net.
Yeah,
After I discovered that error, I corrected that and corrected it in the transfer to and from reserves to still come out to that 727 net overall operating and capital.
so what's the transfer to reserves?
It's, well, on here, it's 553,600.
Okay.
Paper.
So it washes it.
So it's, all right, so this is zero.
It'd be zero.
Okay,
Yes.
all right,
339.
anything else
Yeah.
for fire? We have more to do for fire?
That's
No,
it.
That's it.
That's it for their capital.
All right. Now, we do have,
10 to 12.
it's 10 to 12. We have cemetery services. And, a whole line of
Yeah.
facilities. I am going to suggest that we stop now and bring back facilities at our next meeting. The other suggestion I have for you is I believe we need to have 3 half days instead of 1 full day. I don't know about you, but I've done this many, many times. And the numbers are confusing to me. So for new folks, I think this package you got, take your time, go through it, write your questions on it. And we'll come back on the 31st for half a day. And maybe if we could pick a date in between today and the 31st to do another half day, we could do morning or afternoon, whatever works best for folks. Mornings?
Yeah, sharper.
The 26th would work for me. How about everybody else?
6 o'clock.
You'd be out of here at 12. Okay. Okay,
Is the hall available? Do you know, Cindy? The girls to see if the hall's available.
January?
yeah,
Yes.
January 26th. Now, there is a Friday, the 27th we could do. No.
No.
Okay,
We have council also for tonight, don't we, next week? Yeah. Adjustments. Oh, no, that's true.
it's at the first of the month. Say that, Cindy? On the
On the
26th, let's go to the fire hall. They're not.
Oh, okay. Don't, yeah, we don't want to have, yeah.
Could
he's
you
gotta
switch
be-
that? It's only the morning.
Aaron says no call available 26, yeah, 27, yeah.
No,
No.
look, go to-
Waste and recycling is on the 25th. At 1, yeah. And we have family health team at 6. That's the day before. Yes,
yeah. No, we have in the morning, we have CPAC meeting. 11, isn't it? 11 o'clock CPAC or 10? 10.
and next day we have budget after that. We could do it back to back if you want. 'Cause
On the 30th, it'll have to be the afternoon because the CPAC, the policing,
could the CPAC be moved?
no, he can't.
Can't do Monday. Well, if we have to do it Monday afternoon, if that works. It's your birthday.
Oh,
So, and we'll have to remember that 4 o'clock is our stop time. Right? So Monday, half a day,
calendar, let's see.
we're starting at 1 to 4.
January 30th.
Yes,
January 30th in the afternoon, what time? 1?
1 o'clock.
Okay.
PM.
Plus
And then we're gonna change the 31st to just a half day in the
Yes,
morning.
in the morning.
morning.
Yes,
January 31st.
Yeah.
8 till, or 9 till noon again.
yes.
Yes. All right, so
Another date on the 31st.
we might have to, depending on how we get through, the rest of the capital plus all the operating too, so, yeah, so we might have to have,
It's at 1.
so the 30th at 1. Jan 30th, not yet.
No,
January-
You haven't voted either.
no.
oh, January.
Oh, many.
And this is only the beginning.
Yeah. What we'll actually do is the information that we talked about today. I think Michael will probably go in and the things that we did talk about taking out, take those out and see where we're at. And then that's where we'll start when we get together next time.
And there wasn't a whole lot of direction. I pulled out the couple.
Pulled out the couple things that we for sure said pull, but there's a lot of questions and holds and look at later. So I don't know that there will be a whole lot to come out when we review it, but we can certainly look at the video and go from there as well.
But you can also do that as we meet here.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All
Assuming
right.
technology is working. Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Now the
so,
hall is available the 31st, everything was, I mean, the 30th. In the afternoon. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
great. So I have a
Just a
motion.
second.
Whoop. Yes, Susan?
Sorry. And just a request to Michael, if you would send out your budget presentation so that.
You've got it all, Susan.
No, the other one that he was going to the screen.
Oh,
I was going to print it out as per Councillor Middleton's request, but I can just email it and just print out copies for whoever wants a printed copy.
so how many people prefer paper copies for numbers like this?
I do too. I was just gonna print it myself.
Yeah.
but
So when it's a bunch of numbers that you can write on your questions, that works
Mhm.
best for, I think, most
Okay.
of us.
I'll just print out 12 copies.
Okay.
Have it.
All right. Oh, Bill?
If you can email them, get it managed if you want.
Okay.
All right, I have a motion moved by Susan Middleton. Susan. Susan would be sitting here saying, see what you've got. Moved by Susan Irwin, and seconded by Craig Middleton. Works better the other way around. That the council received the presentations and budget submissions from Public Works and Fire Emergency Services for information. All those in favor? Motion's carried. So yeah, it's a long process. Next year's will be shorter. Will have seen this once, but there is a lot to go through. Good job, Michael. And Chris and Tyson back there. Okay, one more motion.
One more motion to go, yeah.
Moved by Craig Middleton, seconded by Susan Irwin, that bylaw 2023-06, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the special meeting of council, be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 19th day of January 2023, and further that this meeting be adjourned until 1 p.m. January 30th.
We have meetings in between, so I wouldn't say to,
Sorry.
just we
This is-
have that.
This is a special meeting though.
Yeah, but then we have a council meeting before the 31st, so you'd have to
All
put
right.
that date in.
Okay, so 4 p.m., January 24th, 2023, said meeting to be held in the hall.
Yeah.
Charlotte Lake. All those in favor? Carried. 11:57.
Then this is ready for your signature. Even though it's for special meetings, but there's another